How y'all
Hello.
doing? Okay,
Hey,
Drip Nation. All
hey,
right,
Hello,
so
everyone.
this is the ladies edition of the Culture Talk Drip Nation. On my screen we have guests today, Miss Latoya Walker. We also have Miss Malira Green. We also have Miss Shireen Lavelle. Beautiful. How you doing? All right, and we also have Mr. LaShawn Matthews Carter. How are ladies doing
Hi.
today?
Hello.
All
Great.
right, are we ready to have this conversation?
Yes, we
Okay,
are.
awesome. And so at the end of our broadcast, we'll also have another guest speaker to close us out. So I'm excited to bring her on the line. All right, so as always, we're going to start with a word of prayer. We want God to come on in this place as we have this conversation. So if everyone would join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time of gathering, this time of fellowship amongst ladies. Lord, we come together wanting to hear from you, needing your guidance and wisdom as we move forward in this time, in this day. God, we thank you for this space. We thank you for these ladies. We thank you for the wisdom that they're going to give us, the help that we need just to make it through this peculiar time in this world. We thank you, God, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. All right.
Amen.
So first and foremost, I'm going to ask Miss Shireen Lavelle to go ahead and take it from here.
how you doing, ladies? Today, this month is mental health and wellness month, and so we wanted to do a small segment on that. And just to start it off, most people don't even realize that they have mental health. It's a huge problem, especially and really they say the Black community, but I say all communities because people don't realize that they're mentally challenged because they don't consider like depression a mental health. They don't consider when they've been abused and they kind of disconnect. They don't consider that a mental health. But all of those things are mental health. Even the way we overeat, a lot of different things is mental, and everything starts really in the mental. I was reading a book called The Power of the Mind. And what she said was, we battle with our mind on a continuous basis. We battle with our mind, so we can either have a strong mind or we can have a weaker mind, where
Absolutely.
we can't control the things that's coming into our mind, and so we feel weak. We feel like we're not enough, and we often tell ourselves these things. And some people are strong-minded, where I'm assuming your upbringing has a lot to do with it as well. If someone told you all your life that you were nothing, I'm quite sure that will deplete your mindset and your self-esteem. And if somebody told you you were great, it can always do the opposite as well. And so we just have to be mindful that we are in control of our mind. We don't have to go on focusing on just how we feel. We can go on the things that we actually want to do. We can fight off fear because fear is our enemy. Um, and knowing that God is in control and He can control all things, that there's nothing too big for us to handle. I'm not a specialist in this area, but I just wanted to touch a little bit on that subject because I really believe mindset is the rule of anything in your life. Period.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, it helps you
Yes.
go forward. It helps you make decisions, and so we just wanted to touch on it a little bit, just to bring women aware of being in control of their mind, and how important it is to what we put inside of our mind. And Nicole, do you have any questions for me?
Yes. Actually, we have also Miss Green, who is a licensed clinical social worker as well. So maybe she could tell us like some of like maybe like the signs and symptoms of mental health. Um, to help us to identify if we are dealing with that issue or if someone else is dealing with it, because sometimes we may think that a person may be being rude, maybe being mean, or just they're not. You just
Absolutely.
don't confrontational. Then again, it may we just don't know the signs of it. So maybe she can share with us some of the signs of it.
That'd
Maybe
be awesome.
Yeah.
Miss Green, could you do that? Can you share that with us, please?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. One, I want to say
Hello.
to be in this space. I love seeing ladies come together and just empower each other. Like she said, I am a licensed clinical social worker. As far as when it comes to symptoms, a lot of the times if you find yourself isolating from people, when you find yourself needing validation, so that, you know, I'm going to do something with the hopes that someone sees me, not trusting people, staying in relationships that aren't healthy,
Right.
in your every movement, that spirit of perfectionism, and then overeating, undereating, being too tired, losing interest in things that you used to do, always feeling like you're always down, or you're always trying to, you know, prove yourself to somebody.
Right.
All of those can be signs of mental health. But the biggest thing that I want people to understand when it comes to your mental health, anything that keeps you from being your best self is a barrier to your mental health.
Absolutely.
So as much as I can sit here and list a bunch of different symptoms and signs and things like that, anything that is left untalked about and undealt with leads to mental health issues.
Absolutely.
So a lot of the times, you know, it is looking at how do we behave on an everyday basis. So for example, I became a licensed clinical social worker because I dealt with depression, I dealt with anxiety, I was exposed to sex at 3 years old, raped at 16. Like, my story is one of those stories. It's like, okay. And I realized that until I sat down and dealt with my mess, dealt with what happened, and actually went through a process, then I literally went through a bunch of different negative coping skills. So that need for validation, acting out promiscuously, overeating. I literally reached like 319 pounds. Eating was my power. So, you know, even being in relationships, keeping friendships, always overdoing things. I'm a perfectionist. You know, when you look at who you are as a person and you start to see where that foundation comes from, then you can know what symptoms of mental health that you are distributing. And then also like lack of clarity, you know, feeling like reality is one way but it's not. So those are just different ways to kind of determine whether or not mental wise you're not clear. And then those who are parents, how you parent is a good clear sign of how you're doing mentally. Like if you are a parent that's easily agitated, we need to deal with it. Or if you are a parent that's like, hey, I want to be your best friend, we need to deal with that too. Is really being able to just know who you are as a person, and then you can determine what signs is mental health and what signs is actually who you are, if that makes sense to you guys.
Very much.
I think
Awesome. I love that.
Say that one more time. I can hear you.
Oh no, I was just saying, awesome. I love that. If you see me looking down, I'm writing notes because once my turn comes, I have questions. I'm not gonna ask you to do an evaluation, but I definitely have questions concerning mental health because of the condition that the world is in. I think everybody can feel what you say concerning isolation, needing validation, because you're wanting to be seen, but you're being told to stay in the house. So it's
Absolutely.
so you have you know a mental health breakdown. So yes, I
Absolutely.
definitely have questions. But Miss Lavelle, you were going to say,
I was going to ask a question, but it
oh,
was around first. I can really-
What did you say?
So, I think one of the things people don't realize is that mental health was one of the mental health is being depressed, and a lot of women don't realize that that's what it is. And I can truly um, say that I understand that because I was there, you know, not knowing how I even got there. Because one time I was happy, I was married, I was happy, but the thing about it was I didn't realize that there was no perfect being. You couldn't be the perfect
Wow.
wife. You couldn't be the perfect mom. You would mess up at times. And for me, that wasn't enough. That like, how could I mess up? It's me. I'm doing my very best, and so
Absolutely.
to feel like you're not enough it really can put you in a dark place when you're used to excelling in everything else and you feel like you fail. all of a sudden, or you come from a drastic place where you're working and you handling on your business, and now you got to submit yourself to this gentleman. And it just was a tough time for me because I was used to being the head of my own house. And so here now I have to submit myself. So it was, I never knew that it was a mental health thing though. I didn't see it as that at the time. Until I came out of it. And I engulfed, I never seek the counselor for it. But what I did was I engulfed myself in the word of God. Like I was swimming in it.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I came out of that depression. But it was 2 long years for me. And I just say anybody that's dealing with it, that it needs to be recognized that that's what it is. And it's okay to get help. And I mean, you can get past that stage in your life.
Absolutely.
Wow. That was
So,
awesome.
Yeah, I
actually,
knew Miss
Awesome.
something. Yes, Miss LaShawn.
Well, as for me, as far as tying, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
great, awesome. As for me, as far as just tying this mental health to my medical profession, I'm a mammogram technologist, and this profession is, you know, God given, is also heart bearing as well. I have been doing this over 16 years now, since 2004, and just some of the things that I do see, you know, it 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 does something to me, especially in my earlier years being a tech. And especially if it's like my returning patient that comes, we had a negative screening last year, everything was fine. And then that patient comes back with on time with her yearly mammogram, and then that process just begins. Or that particular patient that I know that I'm saying to them, oh, I see you next year. You know, same time, same place, but I know I'll see this patient back in a few weeks for a diagnostic workup. So in this field, I have been everything you can think of: best friend, grandmother, pastor, sister. I have cried, I have consoled, I have taken stories home to me, and I prayed for people that I didn't know what their real outcome was going to be, but I knew they were getting ready to fight for their life. So, you know, it really bothers me as a woman. I'm a woman as well. I'm performing this exam, but I have breasts, and this could be me. I mean, I get my mammograms done as well, and I'm scared every time, because this thing is no longer waiting for family history. This thing is no longer waiting for the normal protocols. You have young people, all ages, you know, man, cancer is just there with no family history. So it really weighs on me sometimes as a mammogram technologist. Yes.
So, Ms. Walker, greatly appreciate your experience when it comes to mental health. Ms. Green, with that being stated, what would be your recommendation when we hit these walls, when you have a profession that puts you in that realm of sadness? However, you have to move on to the next patient. You don't
Yes.
have time to hold her and let her cry and tell you all of her woes. You have to say, well, I'll see you next Friday, same time, and move on to the next one.
Yes.
You don't have time to release because you're moving on. So, Miss Green, how would you give us as everyday women a solution on how to handle all of the mental health walls that we face?
So the beauty about life is every moment you have the opportunity to give your best.
Yes.
And if you know that you are giving your best, then you can be kind to yourself. Because in those moments where that person needs to cry on your shoulder, or that appointment runs a little longer, or they do come back and now you have to function in these other different roles, you have to be kind to yourself. There's many times, because full time I work as a dialysis social worker, so these patients have no cure. They're basically doing this or they die. And there's times where I have to spend more time with the patient, and then I just let the next one know, hey, I apologize, this went over time. But because they know me and I'm kind to myself, they know I'm going to give them the best version of myself when I'm with them. So then that helps me not be so hard on myself. And then also, as far as you as a person, self-care is going to be the best care to keep your mental going. So if you have a good self-care regimen, especially if you work in a field where it takes you to be empathic, it pulls you out of just that role, and you got to pray for people, you got to hold their hand, you got to be everything under the sun. You need to take care of yourself. So a good regimen is just making sure, like, exercise wise, you're keeping your body good, nutrition wise. I believe in whatever I put in is what I'm fueling my body. So it makes me second think about what I'm doing. And then finding things that make you happy. Like with this COVID thing, a lot of people can't do what makes them happy. So the reality is we're going to have a little bit more lower moments than what we're used to. Absolutely. But if you find some alternatives, if you look at what you actually have and grow appreciation for that, that shifts your mind. So instead of thinking, like, hey, that could be me, or hey, I could be in their shoes, it's a spirit of gratitude that you can have. Like, hey, I was able to share this moment with this person, and when they leave from me, I gave them my best, and that's all I can do. So when I go home, I can go home being okay because I gave them my best and I spent time pouring into myself. And then, like I said, honestly, the biggest thing is making sure that holistically you're good. So starting with spiritual, whatever your spiritual anchor or foundation is, you want to pull on that right now. Especially if you are working in a field and you are an essential worker and you don't get the opportunity to not work right now, and those that aren't working, we can talk about that too. But making sure that spiritually you're grounded. Then mentally, what thoughts are you keeping? Because what you think is what happens. I'm a big believer that nothing is good or bad until your thoughts tell you it's good or bad. So we have to be mindful of our thoughts. And then emotionally, how are we showing up? Like, what is going on with our emotions, being tapped in and not judging? There's days I feel happy and there's days that I'm upset because I'm an essential worker, but I'm not judging myself in that moment. And then physically, what am I doing to keep my physical health together? And then the last one is social. If anybody say that they are a loner and they just need to be alone, they're lying. If we were meant to be alone, then the creator, God, would have put us on our own separate universe because he could have did that. But that's right. So when we mesh all of this together, then you're able to show up and be proud of yourself for showing up. Absolutely. Because you gave your best.
And so, Ms. Walker, with you giving your perception of your profession, and then Ms. Green giving you some solutions concerning that, did any of those steps resonate with you? Something you feel like you could?
Absolutely, going forward. It has something that I've been doing it for 16 years, so I have a solid foundation with it. But there are those times where it's a very young woman, it's her first mammogram, and she's not 40. There's times when a woman comes in who knows absolutely for sure. She had signs, she had symptoms, she had all what she needed. She had a CBE, which is a clinical breast exam. Something is going on with your breast and you just ignore and just come on and have a mammogram as if you don't see the skin discoloration, or you don't see this nipple discharge, or you don't see the hardening of the outer surface of your breast. You don't see this change in your breast. So a lot of the women are hurtful because what is it that causes you not to, get things done prior to this disease? You are diseased. Your breast has cancer now, and it was something that you could have prevented, to avoid your outcome. So a lot of times, outside of me seeing the actual cancer in the images, it's a lot of times I just look at my women and say, why, baby, why? I can't. I just look and I console, and my touch is different. When I'm compressing the breast or my arm is around that patient's shoulder, it's like I want to hug so bad, and I want to say, oh, sister, So I'm grounded with it, but it's more of an emotional roller coaster to say, where is your self-love? Where is why are we here outside of something that's in the breast that we don't know that is invisible, and you can catch it in time on your annual regular screening. But the women who knows that you skip your CBEs, you don't have your annuals done, you don't have your breast examined by your doctor or your gyno, and you just go on knowing that you probably might feel something different. You feel it, you know it, but you just, I don't know, denial, don't want to believe it, or this can't be me, and let it go to the point where it's just no point of return.
Some
So,
people don't have insurance.
and I want to say,
Especially my women when they run and go get implants, and a lot of women, put implants in their breasts to avoid breast cancer, to get most of that breast tissue removed, to say I'm taking myself out of the rim. I decrease my chances. That is,
and I would say a lot of the times it's grief too. Like in any
mm-hmm.
that you have, they go through the cycle of grief, and the first place is denial. You know, and sometimes it's difficult because in life, when we hear something is wrong, then we're trying to pull on a life jacket. Any life jacket that we can pull on, we're trying to pull on it so that we don't drown. Like
Absolutely.
when we get a diagnosis, we're trying to pull. And I like to use, personal examples because then that helps people know, like, I'm just not pulling something out. So, for
Right.
example, recently I got diagnosed with primary bilateral cirrhosis of my liver, which is an autoimmune disease that has no cure. I don't know where this thing came from whatsoever. So everybody around me was drowning because they was,
Wow.
hey, she's 27, like what's going on, like they're telling her she can't get cured, she may have to get a liver transplant, like what's happening. So everybody around me is pulling on life vest, whether it was research, whether it was change my diet, whether it was they don't want to talk about it, whatever it was. But for me, I was in a space of acceptance where you have that person that
Wow.
will go to their annual exam, that will make sure they go to the doctor. Then you have that person that's like, why me? So for me to not deal with that, I'm gonna do everything else under the sun. Nothing is wrong with me. Everything's going on. So that's another mental health place as well. Like when things bad happen to us, we don't want to drown. So then we pull on any life jacket to help us. So like Miss Lavelle, I'm glad you swam in the word. That was your life vest. Whereas
Yes.
someone else, their life vest may be substance abuse. It may be sexual things. So when these women are coming, a lot of the times it's the denial. I see the discoloration of my breast, but I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to think
Yes.
about, what's to come. And I commend you. I don't know if I can work in that type of all the time. I'm a social worker, but help.
Girl. Yes. And then I have my little humor. Don't. It's not all. I'm just discussing. That aspect of it. I have my ladies that to come in know they should have really washed themselves. Okay. I mean, our breasts, we all have different shapes and sizes. So, the women with the more bigger breasts, you have to, when you do take your shower, lift that breast up and cleans, because sweat gets under that breast. You don't monitor that breast. I have
Yes.
full breast on that plate. Ow! Because the skin has rash, the skin has chafed, the skin has, and the odor is unbelievable.
Oh
The
my God.
odor, the odor that comes up when I lift that breast, it's like, lady,
Wow.
why you do it? But I can't
It's
say
so
nothing.
good.
I just say, come on, sweetie, let's go. I do my diligence, I do my job. But I just wonder how just some people can just forget about that portion of their body and not lift that breast up and self-care and clean and just, I have my fun with this. Don't Everything is not depressing. I
Right.
have
Well, hey, I have a question. So I know some people probably think like, well, what does breast health has to do with mental? Well, I really feel like that it does. It has a lot to do with it, because a lot of people are not going to get the help they need because of the mental state they're in. Not only that, there are stigmas that are related to mental health. So if you ladies could kind of just talk a little bit about the stigma. A lot of people do not get the help they need because they're afraid what people may say or what people have said to them when they were younger, and things like that. So if you guys could kind of hit on the stigma of getting the mental health help that you need, that would be great.
Okay. Well, as far as stigma, there's still this mindset of one, especially, I can just speak for my community. African Americans still have this mindset of what happens in this house stays in this house.
That's right.
So if you are told what's happening to you, you bet not tell my business outside of here. Then
Okay.
I'm not gonna be calling anybody to get assistance. That's number one. Two, another stigma is I have to have absolutely nothing in order to get help. Right now, a lot of the community services, you need to have Medicaid or Medicare. So if you are a private pay or you have a commercial insurance, a lot of the times you're not going to get, for our young people, they're not going to get school services, or they're not going to be able to go to the community services board. And if they do, is, oh, well, we want you to do a separate program because you're commercial. So that comes with the stigma. So if you're not the least of these, then you won't be able to get help. And then three, it is because other people before you didn't take care of their mental health, then you don't see that is important. Everything else is important. Making money, career, being there for your kids, all of that is important. But nobody takes the time out to think about how your mental health actually impacts you.
Yes.
And then the stigma of going to therapy in general. Like, I'm a therapist, but I go to therapy, because I realize that therapy is normal. Everybody needs a trash can to dump in and someone that is a professional to find your recyclables so you can know what you really can deal with. But people feel like only crazy people go to therapy. Only if I'm hearing voices should I go to therapy. No, if you're having a hard time getting up in the morning, you need to go to therapy. If you and your spouse is always arguing, you need to go to therapy. If every time your kid is being a kid and you're frustrated, you need to go to therapy. If you eating too much, everybody just needs a space. But it's just the stigma of, if I go and people know that I go, then I'm crazy. So the way that I kind of combat it is I tell people all the time, when you have a cut, you put a Band-Aid on the cut, but you don't say that your whole entire body is cut. So mental health, if you're having thoughts of depression, anxiety, suicide ideations, whatever mental health you're dealing with, it doesn't change the rest of your body. It doesn't mean that you are flawed all over or you are defective. So a lot of the times those are the different stigmas that come, and people do judge. I'm not going to lie, people do judge. And then depending on what socioeconomic status you are, what sexuality that you are, it comes with other things as well. So it's just being mindful that we want to live in a nice world, but the world is not nice. And people are starting to realize that if we can shift your perspective, if we can change your thoughts, if we can change your mind, then it changes everything else. But it's going to take a while to get there because there's so much other things that people deem as more important.
Yeah. If I could, I do have, I believe Miss LaShawn asked if anyone had an example. So I actually have two examples. My first example is when I was enrolling my son into school in I guess I go into Mecklenburg County, and I went in there and he took the exam. Well, I was trying to get him to qualify for certain things, certain schools, certain areas, things of that nature, but he was too smart. He was too smart. So I was sitting out there in the waiting room with a young lady, and she said, I told my child to say, I don't know anything. I told my child, if he points to the color blue, say red. And I was just like, what? You told your child to be less intelligent. But when they tested my son, he tested above all numbers. And she was like, well, we can't really give you assistance for this, give you assistance for that, because he's too smart. He's good. Like, he don't need pre-K. He don't need this, that, and the third, And so with him being a little black boy, I already knew that I was going to have to teach him how to jump over hurdles that he didn't create already.
That's right.
I don't want to go too deep, but with the police and, the black man, I've already at 7 told him how to interact with police officers. That's a mental health training. I'm already training my son to submit when he sees a police officer. Just get down, put your hands up, don't say nothing, because either you're wrong or you're right. It doesn't matter. You're already seen as a threat. So mentally, he's already thinking, okay, be afraid of the police. And I know that's probably not this. You might say that's not the smartest thing to do as a mother, but I want my son to live.
That's right.
I want my son to live. So
Definitely.
even if you're right, even if you're on the right side of the road, you're in the right part of town, you're speaking the right kind of language, you're still a black man. So there's a certain protocol that you have to take. And so and also Miss LaShawn said stories. When I was young, I found out that I had some mental health, some family members who had mental health issues, and so I was correlated into that. So I made it a mission of mine to not be seen as that. So like you said, perfectionist. If I got a C or if I got a B, the R word was thrown out there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say it, but you must be slow, and then the slow bus, and all the big, so, they make the little slow bus, jokes or whatnot because I made a B minus or something like that. So then I became quiet, and then I wouldn't, join in with all the other kids because I didn't want to do something and somebody said, "Oh, you're slow." So it was such a, you're right. Mental health was such, I mean, and then I think about what's going on today. Like I said, we're having to stay home. We can't really hug our parents. We can't really see our friends. And I do feel myself breaking down. I do. And
No.
so I appreciate this
Wow.
conversation so much.
I- I'm so excited to have all you ladies on. So,
Mm-hmm,
before we come bring on our very special guest,
mm-hmm,
I'd like to just first of all ask Ms. Green if you would just quickly share with us any
mm-hmm,
your link or any information you want to put out, and then like to ask Miss Latasha Walker to do the same thing, and then we'll turn it back over to Shireen because our
mm-hmm.
special guest is about to come on.
Awesome. Yay.
All right, so really quickly, everybody. Again, my name is Malara Green. I'm the founder of M Green Enterprises LLC. My biggest goal is to serve as the bridge between the caterpillar and the butterfly. We all have somewhere that we are and somewhere that we're trying to go. And that
Amen.
is really what my purpose in life is. If I can leave you guys with anything, you do not have to be great to get started, but you do have to get started in order to be great. So whatever it is that you are going through in this COVID situation, just start somewhere. And once you get started, I promise you, you're going to be at a different place than where you are right now. If you're trying to get in contact with me, you can definitely follow me on social media. Everything's Malara Green or either M Green Enterprises. And if you want to actually reach out to me personally, it's mgreenenterprisesllc@gmail.com is my email. And then phone number 757-609-0694. It has been a pleasure. Please know that you guys are enough. And again, just because you're dealing with something mental health wise does not mean that you are defective, for we all deserve the best life possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Excellent. So in my situation, you guys know my profession and how long I have been doing it. So it's very, very important just to love ourselves and take care of ourselves and just, entangle that with breast health, breast care, self-care, self-love, because that's the beginning
Mm-hmm,
of an examination. That's the beginning of the screening. You know what needs to be done once a year. You know our breast needs to be examined, and you need to have your breast examined by your gynecologist or your PCP, your primary care physician, or you can do breast self-examinations yourself monthly. And we can discuss that later about all the regimens on how to examine your
mm-hmm,
breasts and things like that. But we also need to keep our bodies healthy. I am
mm-hmm. Yeah.
also a TLC distributor. This is called NutriBurst. I'm quite
Mm-hmm,
sure, ladies, you had to see this combination before or heard about these products. This is
Yeah.
a multi-liquid vitamin that you can take monthly, daily, every morning in the mornings. It's the power booster, immune booster, everything that you need, all in this one bottle. And then I have different teas, which is the ISO tea. You ladies can see it. It has hemp extract
Okay.
inside. This is a detoxer, cleanser, weight loss, fat burner, whatever you need. I will have all my information left in the chat for my website if you're interested in just purchasing things as far as keeping your body clean, detox, and have energy.
Mhm.
So I'm just,
Most definitely.
that's all mental health as well, just taking care of yourself to love yourself from top to bottom, inside and out.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Well, again, ladies, thank you so much for just getting on. Thank you for your input. Thank you for sharing your
Absolutely.
knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Shereen, do you have anything?
No, I mean they
Okay.
answered everything for me.
Awesome.
Okay, so
Perfect.
now I have the awesome opportunity to introduce to you all none other than Miss Latasha Wilson. She is from Detroit. She's a native of Detroit, but she currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. She is a retired teacher. She is the sister of the renowned known Grammy winning recording artist Shayna Wilson Williams. She is
Mm-hmm.
most importantly, she is an awesome, when I say an awesome mentor, an awesome leader. She is really making huge impact in the community. She is just really out there and huge in the industry of Forex. When you're around her, she is definitely going to tell you something that's going to be empowering, something that's going to be uplifting. So on today, I ask ladies that you would share. If you have not shared this right now, if you get your pen and your pencil out, because we are
Mm-hmm.
about to hear from Tasha, the
Yay.
boss chick. Tasha, are
All
you out
right.
there? Let's go,
Woo.
Tasha.
Let's go.
My mental.
Hello, beautiful ladies. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Man, let me tell you, this call was amazing. I had a
Yes.
few technical difficulties in between, but every time I got back on, it was something that I even needed to hear. So you
Mm-hmm.
ladies did
Okay.
an amazing, phenomenal job. I wish
Mm-hmm.
I could share this too, but I'm on one device in the car. But I'm glad that I was able to be a part of this. Drip Nation, ladies, you're doing your thing. Mental health, that is so much needed. A lot of times people suffer and don't know that they're suffering with this, and so you ladies really were very informative once again. So I hope our listeners, if you're just tuning in and you missed the first 40 minutes of what they were speaking about, make sure you go back and hit
Yes,
replay. And as
yes.
it relates to what you ladies were talking about, I want to fast forward this. And most people, they don't seek the help because of lack of resources and
Mm-hmm.
lack of knowledge. And so, what I want to bring to the forefront is, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, we have an opportunity. We're in a space as business women as well to help provide resources. So, you see how very informative these ladies are. But now we want to tap into a resource so that you'll never have to go without treatment, so that you'll be able to get the help and seek the type of help that you need and for your family members. Guys, we're talking about multiple streams of income. And if I must say a little bit about myself, as she told you, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, born and raised on the east side. And guys, I went to college, I went to school, I did it the American way, American dream, quote unquote. I went to high school, graduated, went on to college, and I got my degree. I got my bachelor's, and I end up furthering it and getting my master's degree in education. And so, guys, I was one of the lucky ones, blessed ones, to be able to go right after college into my field of choice, my career, where I was a school teacher for 14 years. I moved and relocated after my first 7 years as an educator, and I moved down to Atlanta, Georgia. One of the reasons I moved to Georgia is because I had some medical issues going on as well, and I needed warmer weather. And so, because I was, brought up the way I was, not too many people, I mean, it's 50-50. Some people are good managers of money and some aren't. But I thank God for my upbringing and my parents who were pastors. They taught me at an early age to save money, to put some money away for a rainy day. So when I needed to make a choice to relocate, that was easy for me. And I was able to do that. And thank God I was able, as soon as I got to Atlanta, Georgia, I found a job still in my career. Guys, after 7 more years of teaching here in Atlanta public schools, it was at my latter year, the 14th year, where my medical conditions started to get worse. And how many of most times we always put our job first because of lack of funds. And we know that we need to feed our families. And so we'll still go to work in pain. We'll still go to work suffering. We still go to work leaving our children behind, and we know their stomachs hurt, but we got to pay a babysitter to keep them, and it just tears, it tears your heart because you want to be with your baby and see that they're off and they're good. But because of resources and funds and to be able to take care of your household, you got to go to work. And so many times we put our jobs first. And that's what I was doing because I love the children, guys. I kept going to work knowing that I was stressed out. Who would have thought? I did my thesis paper when I got my master's degree. I did my thesis paper on the burnout rate of teachers, teacher burnout rate. And fast forward 14 years later, I was one of those teachers. Never knew that would be me. Look at how God moves. Guys, it got to the point where my doctor, he was not liking the lab work. He said, Miss Wilson, I don't know what you're doing. Are your children? Is your husband stressing you? I said, Doc, I don't have none of those personally. I got a lot of children at the school. I got 33 kids in the classroom. I'm responsible for them. And he said, well, I need you to take some time off work. I need you to get better. I'm just not liking the way the labs are looking. I said, okay, I was fine with that. Why? Because thank God I had some sick days left. Right. And how many of you know when you got sick days, they can't fire you? They even had to pay me for taking those sick days off. So I worked. Well, I didn't work. I stayed home for 2 weeks. I have 14 days left. Exactly. And when it came time, while I'm home trying to recover and get my life together, my principal's calling, the colleagues calling, Miss Wilson, where are you? When are you coming back? The class is off the hook. That was even making it more stressful for me. So I told my principal, I said, well, I got to go and get another clearance from the doctor. I have an appointment on Tuesday, and I'll let you know. I went to the doctor again. He did the same lab work. He said, I'm still not happy. I'm not satisfied. I said, well, doc, I got to go back to work because I don't have any more sick days. Once again, I'm thinking about the job. I'm thinking about getting to the children because that was my passion. And I put my health on a back burner. And one thing I've learned from this, ladies and gentlemen, you got to take care of yourself first. Because if you're no good and you're not healthy, you can't be around for other people. You can't help anybody if you're not around. And so we got to take care of ourselves. And so my doctor told me, he said, Ms. Wilson, I'm going to give you FMLA, an excuse. I said, well, what is FMLA? He said, it's Family Medical Leave of Absence. And that allows you to still have your job and take more time off and they can't fire you. I said, all right, now I don't have a lot of time, but I got to get back. And he said, it's you or the job. I want you to consider taking another career. I said, Doc, I can't do that. Just up and get another career. It's people out here that have master's and bachelor's degree and they can't get a job in their field. And you think it's that easy to just up and go to another career? So thank God, guys. Fast forward, I took some more time off work. And it was at that moment that God told me to be still. And I had no choice but to trust in him. And I had a conversation. I prayed. And he gave me permission. Rather than me worrying about them firing me, he allowed me to fire my boss. Look at how he works. And after firing my boss, guys, I'm telling you, I have been able to reach more people outside of the classroom. I have been able to give and start up my nonprofit. Well, actually, I already had the nonprofit going, but I was able to go full throttle with it. Not only are we catering and giving back to the community of the same children that I used to teach, but now we're able and we're in position to help their parents. And those parents with mental issues, those parents with lack of resources, guess what? We're finding them the resources. Awesome. Because I said yes to Forex, like many of the ladies on this line that you have heard today. Guys, Forex allows you to be able to dream again. It allows you to be able to put you first. It allows you to be able to go to any doctor you need to see, and you're not worried if your insurance is going to cover it because you have another stream of income. Absolutely. So what we offer our listeners on today is an invitation to one of the largest financial markets in the world. We're talking about a $6.6 trillion a day industry. Guys, we want to put you in position to where you're not waiting to have your back up against the wall, where you're not looking just for a stimulus check, where you're not looking for the government to take care of you, but you're able to put all of the control in your hands and make a decision for your family. Family comes first. And so I'm super happy to be amongst Pastor Carl, Lady Angela, Latasha Walker, Joanna on here, Shareem Lavelle, LaShawn, and the other lady who was on. It's a privilege to be able to work with you beautiful people because we're changing lives in this generation, in this season. Guys, who you align with is what's going to determine where you go in the next 5 years. Look at the people that you are around. You are sum total of the 2 to 3 people that you surround yourself with. If you have a circle that's not influencing you and pushing you to be better and not tapping you into the right resources, welcome to our world. We invite you to partner with us. So, ladies, it's just been a privilege to be on here. I'm telling you, saying yes to Forex, doing business with you, ladies. It has allowed me to replace my full income as a teacher with a master's degree. And now I make all this money from my cell phone and never have to leave home. I'm never having to worry about calling in to that principal who really didn't care about if I was better. She just wanted me to get in that classroom to get them kids settled down. Yeah. I appreciate having the opportunity to be able to say, I'm going to wake up when I'm done sleeping rather than having to put on an alarm clock. So we want to invite people to have time freedom, financial freedom, be able to choose where you go on vacation and how long you want to stay. Be able to choose the top of the line doctors. You may have a loved one that's ill and they need a certain kind of treatment. Guys, when you tap into multiple streams of income, you'll be able to help your loved ones. You won't have to see them suffer. You'll be able to be that resource, that in-between person, guys, that's just a blessing to many and many around you. So, ladies, I thank you for having me on here. We invite everyone to join us in this largest financial stream of income called foreign currency. If you want to learn how to trade cryptocurrency, guys, we make money even when we don't own any of these particular currencies or Bitcoin or Litecoin. Yeah. We show you how to get on the right side of money. So I thank you, ladies, once again for having me. It has been a privilege and a pleasure being on this call. You are changing lives. God bless you. Get with the person who invited you to this call. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for a resource, look no further. This is your plan B. This is your plan C. We're changing generations to come, and we invite you to join us. Drip Nation, I'm godly proud of you guys. I'll see you at the bank or on the beach. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you so much.
Y'all.
Yes.
That's our
She dropped some major nuggets for
she
us.
did. She did.
Gosh,
absolutely.
We thank you for getting us right on the mental side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Miss Green for getting us right. Yeah,
yes.
Thank you, Tasha, for getting us right with our breast health.
Yes, ma'am.
Also with the teas to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
Joanna, we thank you for helping us on the spiritual side of things.
Amen.
More importantly, thank Miss Angela for giving us this awesome opportunity to be on this platform.
Yes.
Without her, we wouldn't be here. And what we always do is always keep God the head of our life. So we definitely got to give God thanks and praise for us even being on this call today.
Amen.
So with that being said, Miss Shireen, we're going to turn it over to you to close us out, Miss Shireen.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to give also a little bit more nuggets before we get off the call. Some of the things that I do to help keep me on track and may assist you is that I think I write down my plans for the day, and then by the end of the night, I do a gratitude list, and I write it out. 5 things I did that I was grateful for, just so that I can boost my self-esteem up even higher for that night, besides giving God the glory. But 5 things that I've accomplished for that day to show myself that you are doing things, you are doing well. And, you know, it's always good to see that you're accomplishing a task. So, guys, that's definitely a helpful thing to do. So when you find yourself depressed, see if that works for you. It works for me. And so I'm closing out with a prayer, or I'm closing out with what? With that?
Actually, you know how we normally close out? We always close out with an encouraging word. So you just banged it with your encouraging word. If you'd like to add anything else to it, you can. Or either we'll go to Latasha. She can say something encouraging to us. You have anything else to say, Miss Shireen?
Nope. Latasha is all yours. Take it away.
Miss Latasha.
Ladies, we just want to always nurture love on each other and just build each other and teach each other, guide each other. That's the best thing we can do for each other. Anything from health to just a shoulder to cry on, financial advice, health advice, anything that we can do to support one another is a barrier that I would love to be a part of. And being a part of this Forex community, it is another family that I have acquired. And I love all of you ladies, the excitement of learning a new skill set, the excitement of saying, I can do this. I can learn this skill set and make money in this market. This is not for the smartest. This is not for a certain person at an economic status. This is for whoever have that I can do this attitude. And you want to break barriers. You want to, stop generational curses. You want to be that point of connection to other people. I mean, women or just your family as a whole to say, listen, we never knew nothing about this situation, but we know about it now. Let's do this. Let's break these barriers. Let's grow. Let's, as a unit. And then we can keep on growing to teach others. And we can just keep on going and going. And it's like a domino effect of new knowledge, new skill set. And people want to share it and people want to help one another and help others. That is something that I want to be a part of. And I have felt this in this community that I'm a part of now. I have felt the love. I have felt the sisterhood. I have felt the togetherness. I have never felt lost. I have never felt like I can't do this. If I have any questions about this community or about trading or what next to do, this is a sisterhood of love. And I'm just so glad that I am a part of it. I am the in crowd, so to speak. And I will encourage everybody to do so. It sounds foreign. It sounds crazy, but just give it a try. Give yourself a try. Give your family a try. You will not regret it. So I'm just happy to be a part of this cipher, ladies. I love you all.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well,
You too.
we
Yeah.
just want to invite
Joanne.
everyone. Yes, ma'am. We just want to invite everyone back next week at 5 p.m. same time. We're going to have a guest, or it'll be us. It doesn't matter. Either way, we definitely have something to offer on these culture talks. I'm always excited to see you ladies, to talk to you. I can't wait till
Right.
we can get back together and we can have,
I know.
conferences and see each other and give everybody a hug. I can't wait. But a real recap is the mental health. Take care of yourself, self-care. DripNationInvestors at gmail.com is the email that you send if you want to be a guest on our show next week at 5 p.m.
Absolutely.
So it's been a pleasure meeting everyone and getting all these tidbits I can take back to my house, to my heart. And I hope that everyone does the same. Have a great day,
Okay. All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome. Like, share, and
Mhm.
share it. And thanks again, Miss Angela Wilkins. Everybody remember that you
Yay!
are a winner.
You are.
Bye.
She's
Say
amazing.
yes to Forex. Yes.
Yes, for it.
I said yes already.